Hey guys, Kiwi here. In this video, I'll be breaking down and discussing The Walking Dead Season 9, which returns at the end of the week for the second half of the season. With that being said, major warning of spoilers for everything in the show up to the Season 9 mid-season finale, Season 9 Episode 8, and let's jump right into this. Honestly, this mid-season break just seemed to fly by, but to summarize, Season 9 said goodbye to Rick Grimes during the first 5 episodes, and then the following episodes 6 to 8 has almost felt like a reboot of the show 6 years into the future. With the show skipping more time off-screen than we've even seen on-screen since the zombie apocalypse started, there's almost a feeling of being reintroduced to every character and every community once again. Some people may find it odd how they decided to have Rick's exit off of the show during episode 905, instead of having it be some sort of mid-season finale, as it felt like a finale in itself, but it's probably because they didn't want people to wait 2 months to see the new version of The Walking Dead without Rick. With so many fans openly stating on social media that they would stop watching the show after Rick left the show creators were definitely worried about that coming to fruition, and I feel like they definitely thought of that before the fans were even aware of the Rick Grimes rumors. So, the show creators really wanted to do everything that they could to prevent that from actually happening, because they wanted to keep fans interested in the oncoming episodes. If they would have put Rick's final episode as a mid-season finale with a 2-month break before the next episode, it would have been a perfect excuse for fans to stop watching the show right there and then forget why they should care enough to come back 2 months later. With that in mind, they must have put Rick's final episode as the 5th episode in Season 9, still giving us 3 more episodes during the first half of the season before the mid-season break to get a taste of what the show is like without Rick. Hell, not only did they not want people to wait 2 months after Rick's departure, they didn't even truly want people waiting a week until episode 906, because they even shoved in a little teaser of the time skip during the end of episode 905. If you recall, once Rick gets taken away in the helicopter by Jadis, the screen skips literally 6 years right in front of our eyes as the background ages with a single fade, introducing Maggie's group along with introducing Judith post-time skip, who is now old enough to be an A-list character out of nowhere. So at the end of episode 905, to hold people on for a week until the next episode, they tease Judith saving Magnus group. And I don't know about you guys, but in my opinion, even though it is kinda cheesy, the way that they have Judith pick up and put on Rick's hat that Carl once wore was a pretty hyped up moment for the show, launching it 6 years into the future in a way that kept fans sitting on their seats waiting to see what the second time skip had in store for us. The showrunners had the difficult task of trying to form Season 9 around Rick's departure and the second time skip in such a way that would keep fans coming back and wanting more, even though main characters such as Carl, Maggie, and now Rick are all off of the show. The list of absent characters is really starting to stack up over the past few years, as the show has felt different without lead roles such as Glenn, Abraham, and Sasha around. For one reason or another, a large group of people stopped watching the show the past few seasons, and a part of that is having characters like this killed off. And yes, it is a part of the show and I fully accept that, but when favorites like Glenn get killed off, we also lose everything that they brought to the show as well. The show just feels different without them. More of these characters get killed off, and the more the show feels like it's missing something. There was Carl last season, and now Maggie and Rick, and also even recently Jesus as well too, and it almost feels like an entirely different show where different characters have stepped up as leads in ways that we never would have thought of previously, such as Michonne taking the leadership role of Alexandria. Regardless of how long Andrew Lincoln has implied that he might want to be written off of the show, as he's been hinting at that possibility since Season 4 and Season 5, it's still very disappointing to see Rick leave the show so soon in regards to all the upcoming material from the comics. If Rick would have stuck around until Seasons 10 or 11, all of this would have been way better off, as he could have faded more into the background before his official departure, but now it feels like we've prematurely lost our lead characters going into the arcs that should be most important to them. We don't have Carl going into the New Beginning with Lydia in the Whispers, we don't have Maggie leading the Hilltop in the New Beginning, which is something that she's been built up for since Season 5, and now we don't have Rick to lead and fight against the Whispers. Granted, the show has done an amazing job filling in the empty holes where they can, as the new feeling of the show after the 6-year time skip definitely has potential, but it's just nerve-wracking thinking of the show continuing on indefinitely without main characters such as Rick, Carl, or Maggie. And yeah, maybe if I didn't know what happened in the future in the comics, I wouldn't really have anything to complain about and I would just kind of go with the flow, but you know, knowing what happens from the comics and knowing the potential of what could have happened on the big screen and now knowing that that won't ever come to fruition, it's just kind of a bummer. And I mean, they have done a great job with substituting where they can and doing remixes like they always have, and as I said, it has a lot of potential, and I suppose we'll have to wait and see if the Rick movies are any good and if they actually explain why Rick hasn't returned after 6 years, because let me tell you, there better be a good answer for that one, as it's kind of painful to watch the actual Walking Dead show 6 years in the future with all the characters thinking that Rick is dead. Well, I mean, I guess Daryl is still out looking for him, but for the most part, the general consensus is that he's dead or MIA, and that's just kind of heartbreaking knowing that he's off somewhere for 6 years unable to return. I'm actually surprised at how well the show creators have pulled off Rick's departure. Although it is incredibly unfortunate that he won't be on the main show anymore, this was about the best that it could have gotten considering the situation that we were walking into. We thought that they were just going to straight up kill Rick off, but he gets to live on and spawn an entire Walking Dead movie trilogy in the process. So not only is Rick still alive, but with the way that they teased Magna and Judith at the end of episode 905, along with introducing the true New Beginning time skip during episodes 906 to 908, they really have the viewers set up to truly appreciate the new beginning and move forward with the show instead of being stuck on the fixation that Rick is gone. Now don't get me wrong, Rick being gone still sticks out like a sore thumb, as episodes 906 to 908 do feel like they're kind of missing something, as if we're waiting to cut back to something that will never happen, causing them to feel slightly off, but they do still stand up well on their own considering the circumstances. Season 9 has been a huge improvement since seasons 7 and 8, and I'm really happy to be able to say that, but the show isn't out of rough waters yet. With all of the Rick Grimes leaving The Walking Dead rumors going into season 9, which eventually got confirmed before the season even aired, to the point that they used Rick's final episodes in their advertising for the season, it created some serious behind the scenes drama going into season 9 that really created the show to be in a state of uncertainty that it's never been in before. And that's considering everything that happened during seasons 7 and 8. We were all worried for the future success of the show as we waited for the outcome of Rick's fate to really determine whether or not the show was getting ruined beyond repair. So you know, no pressure or anything, but with that being said, the show creators structured season 9 about the best that they could to accomplish their goals of successfully giving Rick a proper send-off, while also giving the show a soft reboot without its lead role not only mid-season, but in the middle of a half season, as confusing as that is. And since they structured everything in such a way that made us feel comfortable enough with the New Beginning time skip to actually introduce the Whispers by the mid-season finale, now all the hype revolving around the show has to do with the Whispers being revealed and introduced and a new threat, instead of everyone still talking about Rick being gone. They actually pulled it off, at least for now it seems that way, but how about when the show actually returns? How about when season 9 actually finishes? I guess only time will tell, but I'm very interested to see how the state of the show will look like going into season 10 in between seasons 9 and 10. I'm excited to experience the rest of season 9 as it comes out week after week, but how do you guys all feel going back into the show during the second half of season 9? It's been 2 months since the last episode has aired, and it's the first time we've had a break from the show after Rick has departed. They're trying to keep things going strong, but we'll have to wait until the end of season 9 to see if it all holds together well. Regardless of how surprisingly well it's all turned out considering everything, the fact that we were even put in that situation of uncertainty for the show in the first place was quite scary and off-putting for the future of all Walking Dead fans. With something that serious occurring, even with a successful outcome, it'll take a while to fully repair the damage done. They seem to have the right ideas moving moving forward as far as the pacing of the show and what direction to take in order to keep fans wanting more, but will people truly be able to get over this big goose egg in the show's history? But as I said, it seems as though they've shifted focus completely from Rick to the Whispers, as they've given us a few episodes to warm up to the new beginning 6-year time skip, so now it's time to start introducing the new story arcs and antagonists for the season. Since they were able to reintroduce everyone in all the communities during the second time skip before the mid-season break, we became familiarized with everything and ready to tackle the next arc, the Whispers. So now that there has been the first ever break from the show airing after Rick's departure, how does everyone currently feel? Is everyone as hyped to see the true introduction of the Whisper conflict as I am, or does something still feel off? When it comes to episodes 906 to 908, they were definitely trying to give us a taste of what the new show would be like before we had the mid-season break, so people should already be able to tell whether or not they like the direction that we're headed in, but the 2-month break will really show if people are interested in returning to see what happens next. Now that they've dealt with Rick's departure and everything has settled, we've been introduced to what seems like an entirely new Walking Dead show, but do fans still feel the same love towards it as before? Are we even supposed to at this point? Rick's departure once felt like a big elephant in the room that no one knew how to properly handle, and it does feel like a weight has been lifted off of our shoulders ever since we've seen the reveal of Rick getting introduced to his own movie trilogy, and I've been saying that ever since episode 906, but now that the show is trying to find its groove again without Rick, will it be able to keep fans interested? They've been doing a good job promoting the Whispers and the new time skip, and I feel like there's a ton of potential story to be told, but the question right now is, how does the Walking Dead community feel about the show going into season 9B? I'm excited to see the Whispers, I'm excited to see what season 9 has in store, as it has a ton of potential to truly start redeeming the show after the way it started going downhill during season 7 and 8. Now, although I am excited, I'm still very skeptical of everything, as I'm not sure how much confidence I have in the show continuing with the success that it once had. I'm still very uncertain as to how well they'll be able to keep up interest with the show, because if this isn't enough to keep the fans interested, what is? We're not going to have any sort of return from Rick Grimes, at least to the main show, ever apparently, so although Rick was an amazing lead, I guess now other characters are given more breathing room on the main show, and I hope that if they give more characters room to breathe and expand, that they use the airtime efficiently, as there are tons of characters that have just sat on the sidelines unable to be utilized to their fullest extent, such as the character Jesus, who ended up getting killed off because the actor was so annoyed with never being able to utilize his character for anything other than breaking up fights between other characters and just being a boring moral compass, that the actor actively wanted to be killed off just so he could go out with a bang and then be free to leave the show. Let's have Jesus be an example of why they shouldn't shaft amazing characters to the sidelines, as eventually the actors will grow tired of it and wish to leave. Also, as much as I dislike the idea of just being content with cutting our losses and moving on, there's not much we can really do about it, so the question is, will everyone be accepting of it? Moving forward, it's definitely more beneficial to look at the current situation of the show as a glass half full opposed to half empty, but that varies from person to person. I'd appreciate a like on the video if you've enjoyed anything I've said today, as it really helps me out more than you can imagine. Feel free to subscribe for more Walking Dead content in the near future, and also follow me on Twitter or check out the Patreon if you'd like, link to both of those in the description. I'm fairly active on Twitter even when I'm not posting videos, and I'm always retweeting everything I can involving the Walking Dead universe. But anyways guys, as always, I thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out!